Welcome to today's episode of Property Millionaire Coach. I'm your host, Adam Panisi. I'm currently building a $200 million property portfolio through my development company, AdPen. I started in property over a decade ago at the age of 22, where I developed a $3 million project, and I did this while I was earning $60,000 a year as a graduate engineer. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode. If you want free training on how to accumulate multiple properties and how to do property development, go to my website, www.libertyblue.com.au. I also have advanced training courses you can enroll through the website. Hey guys, I'm just here with Dragon, who is an awesome buyer's agent from Sydney and buys a lot of development sites as well as buy and hold passive properties as well. So I'll hand it over to you. This is just going to be a really quick session for those guys that are looking to leverage their time and get into the property space. So Dragon, do you want to just give us the elevator pitch on where you're based and what it is that you do and how you can help people?
Fantastic. How are you, Adam? Thanks for having me on. Well, pretty much, my name's Dragan Dimovski. I'm Director of Buyers Agency Australia. We are based in Sydney and we've got an office in Brisbane as well. So we pretty much focus on investment properties. Look, I would say about 50% of our buyers are just your standard positive geared properties, buy and hold sort of strategies. And then I've got the other 50% that are looking to manufacture some sort of growth from their properties. So just to give you an example, a rundown, maybe renovated house that we purchased under market value that might need 20, 30K for an uplift that, they can bring you back, of course, depending on the area, anything from, 50 to 150, 200K. So, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So you're not a typical buyer's agent, because normally I'm against some types of buyer's agents that just like to flog stuff. But I am very selective on buyer's agents that I speak to and that I liaise with. So you're a little bit different. So you just mentioned a deal that, you can make, there's upside to be made on there.
100%.
What other properties? You mentioned you buy some development sites as well.
Correct.
Give us an example on why somebody would come to you to buy a development site and what it is you buy.
I would say a handful of people that they want to, I guess, fast forward the process on having their wealth creation. So I'll give you an example. A property up in Brisbane that we just signed off yesterday for a client by the name of Grant and Ashley. They're also based in Brisbane. I think it's Gold Coast. No, they're in Brisbane. We looked at a property that was, that was around that 1,500 square meter block. It had a house. The house in front had 6 bedrooms. It's a dual lock living scenario. So there was 3 bedrooms downstairs, 3 bedrooms upstairs, kitchen downstairs, kitchen upstairs, 2 bathroom upstairs and 1 downstairs. Now that type of a property in that area, you'd be looking at purchasing about 700K.
Yeah,
I got it off market at 609,000.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So now, in saying that, being subdivided, they have options now. They can actually subdivide that block into 3 lots, so 1 into 3. Okay. Now the beauty about this block as well, they had 2 streets, so there was an adjacent street behind the block as well. So separate entrance. So what they can do is keep the front at the house at the front. It might need a 30 or 40K reno to get that uplift, and do 2 350, maybe even a little bit more than 350 blocks each at the back. So there'll be 1 at the front and then a battle axe behind that. Okay. And with that particular, blocks, each one could sell between 350 to 400K.
Yeah, nice. Okay. So without going into the detail of the subdivision costs, and we don't know the site and all that, the main thing to start with is you bought it almost 100,000 under market value. So what's that?
Correct.
15% under market value. It was
Yep.
off market. You've done the hard yards in finding the site. So
Yep.
you get paid a reward for that.
Of course.
Ultimately, that's your business. But from their perspective, how I see it, it's a win-win. You've gotten paid to source the deal. And that's the role of a buyer's agent, is to source deals. But in this case, you've made them a substantial amount of money just even on the way in.
Exactly.
Which I think which is exceptional. You've added value to somebody, and you're transacting multiple properties a week, and they sound like they're good properties. So from my perspective, I don't have time to look at deals, and even guys that are just starting to get that leverage, it's worth paying you. What was your fee on that? 20,000 for that property, or
no? It's 14,990 plus GST.
So for 15,000.
Yeah.
For 15,000, somebody doesn't have to go out and spend the time to find the deal. And
exactly.
It's ultimately a success fee as well.
Well, look, I mean, they made that back right from, as you said, right from the beginning, from the
day
purchase,
one.
So, and mind you, I do all the due diligence prior to that. I prepare a suburb analysis. I do a property report, and that's a property developers report, and also a cost analysis.
Wow. Okay.
I then send them a detailed email, and then obviously they can see the benefits from that. If they're not happy, we move on to the next one.
Yes, that sounds good. So I mean, from my perspective, it's almost a no-brainer to engage somebody like you. I don't know what your commitment fees are, and we won't talk about that at the moment, whether you have a commitment fee or if it's just a success fee. But I've used plenty of buyer's agents before, and none of them have ever brought me deals anywhere near as good as that one. It is on the smaller end of the spectrum, but even at all ends, I've not ever had somebody, well, with the exception of a couple of bigger sites. There's not many people that can source those sorts of deals and do it consistently.
Exactly. And look, and also to make a point in this conversation, that that particular deal within 6 to 8 months from start to finish, and I mean finish if they were to sell off the blocks, obviously on a quieter market it'll take longer. Once sold, they pay down that that if they want to keep the house at the front, and sometimes they could even pay it off. Sometimes they'll have as little as $100K or $200K owing on it. That's a $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 property.
Yeah, so it's a life changer for people. Instead of buying your own home, you could do one of those, pay off most of it, and then go and buy 2 principal places of residence if you really wanted to.
Well, exactly, and when I have a discovery or strategy call with the clients, a lot of the time, and most of them, they know about that buy and hold scenario where it's positive or at least neutrally geared property. I then will say, okay, here's another option. Why wait the 10 years for the property price to increase? We could do it within a year.
Yep, I concur. Preaching to the converted.
Yeah.
So the reason I originally reached out to you is I saw you in an article. Well, I didn't see you, your face, your mugshot, but I saw your name mentioned in an article, and I just looked you up to see who you were. And the reason I did that was you had a different outlook to what the rest of the media is painting, a different outlook on the property market. So you're Sydney based, so you're buying in Sydney and Brisbane, from what you've said.
Correct.
So what do you see on the ground, both in Sydney and Brisbane, and where do you expect the market to be in the next, with the crystal ball as much as possible? What are you seeing, and what do you expect will unfold in the areas that you're in?
Look, I'll answer that question, but I'll also give you the way I look at things when it comes to property. So my thing was there's going to be has been a slowdown, and it's going to stay like that till early next year, maybe February, maybe March. Then I think for a handful of reasons, the Reserve Bank will pause, or if anything, they'll even have a cut. We're going to have overseas people coming in, 200,000 per year. They're going to have to live in places, and other reasons. But those two should indicate enough that the property prices will start coming back up. Okay. Shortages of rental and all that sort of where are we going to fit all these people coming in?
Yep.
Right. Already we've got shortages. So that's
where are you just specifically? Which areas are you in Sydney, or are you just sort of just doing a blanket across all of Sydney? That's how it's.
Okay, so look, it's Sydney areas is southwest. That's more for the investment type granny flats sort of style, duplex type properties, or even smaller subdivisions. But a lot of the Sydney properties are also people who do want to owner occupier type of properties. So that's pretty much in Sydney, in the western side of eastern suburbs and the inner west is where I focus. I grew up here. I've purchased many properties here, but for that type of investment properties that are around the 400 to 800K, that's obviously going to be Western Sydney, but also regional Sydney, coastal regions, that in New South Wales, not Sydney, obviously.
Yeah. Okay. So you're very optimistic about the market, even early into next year. I think it's going to be a bit longer, but like probably, you said, as soon as there's a pause, I think people are going to go, "Oh, the market's good. Let's go. Let's jump back in."
They're going to they're going to get comfortable and they're going to start getting back into it. Yeah, for sure. In saying all this, look, I don't pay too much attention on the market, is because of that strategy that I use, and I've been using that myself for a while. Yeah. And so when you use this style of strategy, whatever happens in the market, whatever interest rates come up, you don't get affected. And yourself, when you're developing a certain size of a property, of a strategy, really you don't get affected.
Yeah, I've never, with the exception of one property, I was in a regional town, which I'll never do again. Yeah, all of my properties, even when the market was apparently crashing, my properties were actually growing, even, and that was excluding the development, just because I bought really well. Yeah, and I bought in areas that were in undersupply.
No, that's it, and you need to do that due diligence. You need to do that research. What's happening in that area? Is there infrastructure? Budget in that area? Is there population growth? What's happening? You can't just go off, of your mate on the weekend saying, "Hey, you know what? I think this area is gonna do well," and then you go off and buy a property in that area, and you burn yourself.
That happens.
Believe me, I've done that in the future, in the past. Sorry,
how
in my younger years.
Yeah. How do you think the undersupply, or how much factor does the undersupply have in the market itself? Because from all the statistics that I've looked at, and I just was having a look at some the other day, literally every capital city around Australia, the undersupply of dwellings nationally is like the lowest level it's been ever. Well, since the graph, I think it goes back 12 years or 15 years. So in the last 15 years, we've never been as undersupplied as we are now. Sure, there's going to be pockets of oversupply, but generally speaking, Australia-wide, we're in undersupply. So from my experience over the last decade and a bit, anything that's in undersupply, as long as people can afford to pay for the property, so people are cashed up, those suburbs just keep going. They don't. Well, that's right. They don't come back because people are fighting. Do you think? Do you think that key stat, or where we're sitting at the moment, is going to drive prices even further than what
it will? And it definitely will. But also, you're gonna, well yourself that so many property developers and builders have gone under as well in the last year. That's going to also have an impact in property development and increase in supply.
Yeah, there is none. The areas I'm in, there's no supply, and there's no rentals. There's a few more properties on the market, but not very many. So there's hardly anything to buy. There's virtually nothing to rent, and there's no new stock coming to market. So
Yep.
what happens over time? And Queensland, we have interstate migration, so we don't need overseas migration as much. All the people
Yeah.
from where you are like to move up to Queensland and
Yep.
buy a house for half the price. But yeah, from my perspective, it's just going to go ballistic. It has to. The fundamentals are
I
there.
agree.
It's
Yeah.
just a negative media storm at the moment, trying
But
to get people to spend less to deflate the economy.
no, I do not listen to anything the media says. Whatever gives them views and clicks, they will just punch that through whatever the story is.
Yes.
Seriously,
Yeah.
it's just they care little about data and all about views. So that's how I see the media, the mainstream media.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely agree. So anyway,
You
so
know.
you think early next year we're going to be in for
Oh yeah,
round two?
I think so. Well, look,
Wow.
it's never gonna be what it was. Well, when I say never, I mean probably not. Well, but it's not going to be how it was the last 2 years. Put it this way, during COVID.
Yeah. But
But
there's still
we're going to go for a little correction, and then here it comes slowly back up again.
okay. All right. I share
Yeah,
the same view. It's
awesome.
just a matter of when that timing is going to be, whether
It's yeah,
it's February or whether it's later in the year. I don't know.
yeah,
It's a crystal ball that everyone tries to predict, but it is going to happen at some point. So,
yeah,
if
yeah,
it happens in February and you've bought in January, then you'll do well. If you
yeah.
buy in January, but it doesn't happen until December, then you just have to wait a few more months.
Well, that's it. Look, and at the end of the day, a property never goes down. So if you're buying and you have half the knowledge on where to buy and what to buy, you can't lose anyway.
Yeah, agreed. Completely
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
All right. Thanks so much for your time. And I'm sure
No
everybody
worries,
got
Adam.
value out of our conversation. If they didn't, then go watch somebody else's or go listen to the media
Yeah,
and see what they say.
that's
But
it.
yeah, I truly believe it's a really good buying. There's some great buying opportunities at the moment in the market. And I mean,
100%.
we're gearing up to go and buy some big sites. We're in the process of negotiating some things because
Yep.
I think it's going to turn, and it's going to turn hard, like in a good way, turn
Yeah.
up, turn
Turn
up,
up there.
and prices grow. And that's just what I see in Queensland, and the other states are looking pretty good as well, really across the board. So it'd be interesting to see how it plays out, whether we see 10% growth, or I honestly think some of the areas I'm in will probably see another 40 or 50% growth. I just think they
Yeah.
have to. People just have too much money and there's no stock. There's just no stock in some
I
areas that I'm
agree.
in. So,
I agree. I agree.
and
I agree.
yeah, and they haven't had that massive growth that other suburbs have had. Like, sure, some of the suburbs that I'm thinking about have gone, 30 or 40% already, but I still think there's another 30 or 40 to go.
Yeah.
I just don't think it'll happen as quick. It'll be like a traditional 3-year construction boom, which
Yeah.
is like
Yeah.
what most of us are used to, where you see all the cranes in the sky, all the developers rush to the market. The ones that do really well out of those booms are the ones that already own sites before the boom happens. So
Yeah. Exactly.
you,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can't get into the boom and think you're going to make all this money, especially not as a bigger developer. But you kind of got to lead into it and be in a position before it goes ballistic. Same as all
Yeah.
the people that made
Yeah.
money in COVID, all the big developers. We all had sites before COVID. We didn't become overnight, multi-millionaires. We all owned the sites before COVID, and we were buying sites in COVID.
Well,
So
that's it.
when
That's it.
nobody else was.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes it can be a waiting game. So,
Yeah, as long as you're not waiting 10 years
well, yeah, that's
for the
right.
property
That's
to
right.
double, buy well, do an active strategy, and you're sorted no matter what the market does. So anyway,
Exactly.
thanks for your time. It was great talking to you. We will chat
Thank you.
again. And for all the people that are listening and watching, if you've got any questions, please just let us know. And your business details, Dragon will put those in there for people that
Thank
want to
you.
use your services as well. And
Yep.
from my personal experience, I leverage my time as much as possible. And you're going to have deals that I'm not going to come across. And same with, people that are wanting to use you. You're going to have sites in different areas that people aren't going to have access to without you in
Yep.
the box seat. So,
Yep.
it's well worth your your fee to do that. I mean, that's your business. You're good at it, and you get paid a success fee for finding sites, and you find sites for developers and positively geared properties, and you're not buying, rubbish stock that's overpriced.
Yeah,
is more to the point.
Yeah.
So, all right, thanks so much for your time.
Adam, thank you for having me.